Well, Israel is facing a fresh wave of protests against the government's proposed judicial reforms. It's round 2 of Disruption Day protests. Although the coalition government's bill to remake the legal and judicial system is on hold, protesters don't want their opposition to the government's move to lose steam. Demonstrators blocked major highways, registering their unhappiness with Netanyahu's judicial overhaul program. Protests also took place outside houses of Israel's prominent cabinet ministers as well as offices of state religious institutions. Meanwhile, in Israel's financial and commercial center, Tel Aviv, the frustrated public went high-tech. They staged an installation-based demonstration against the judicial reform. They toppled a huge domino installation to warn against an impending financial domino effect.
This domino bricks represents what will happen. The high-tech will move out because there is no democracy ecosystem for the high-tech, and then the same like the bricks here, things will start to fall.
Well, some protesters dressed in red cloaks and white bonnets and reference the Handmaid's Tale, and protesters in front of Tel Aviv's courts also demonstrated against discriminating government policies to protect and improve women's rights as well.
We are afraid that with the new regime and with the new laws that are going to be applied, the women's situation is going to be worse, and this is why we're here today. We don't want Israel to become Iran.
For more on this, we're now being joined by Jody Cohen. And Jody, well, how is round 2 of these protests panning out, and how vulnerable does this make Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I'm not sure this is round 2. We could even call this round 17. We've seen 17 weeks of protest here on the streets across Israel. Now, I'm in Tel Aviv, in what has always been week on week the busiest place for the demonstrations. And during the day of disruptions, midweek, during working hours, this venue here is normally full of tens of thousands of protesters. I have to say, you can see there's literally a handful of protesters behind me. It's been much quieter. Things are expected to pick up this evening when the weekend starts, and also for the Saturday night protest. But I've been speaking to people here to really get an understanding of why it has been quieter today. Now, some people anecdotally have said that their companies haven't encouraged them to take the day off like they might have done in the past on days of disruption. Other people have blamed the heat wave. Other people have said that fatigue is starting to set in, and also that because of the negotiations that are going on at the president's residence, a lot of people are taking a wait-and-see approach to what happens there with those negotiations. Now, I've been speaking to some of the student leaders here today who are saying that their main complaint is that because the government is spending so much time on judicial reform, there isn't enough time for other key issues like education, like the cost of living. The government's also facing criticism because for what some people see as a soft response to the 104 rockets that were fired from Gaza into Israel in a 24-hour period. And we saw that the Otzma Yehudit party actually boycotted voting in Parliament on Wednesday in protest at that. We're also today seeing a lot of protest against the government's proposed bill to enable the ultra-Orthodox men in particular to be exempted from military service, and secular people here would like to see them more involved, not less involved, in the army. And interestingly, the head of the United Torah Judaism party, Yitzhak Goldknopf, has warned that the government could actually fall apart over that issue. But the priority for the next few weeks will be passing a state budget. If that doesn't happen, the country will go to elections.
Right, Jody, thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest. There's 17 weeks of protests there going on against the judicial overhaul proposed by the government.
Thank you.